Ghost Town, the horror story.
Here is my childhood home. It's just unfortunate that I'll have to leave it, even though I don't want to. I was born here, grew up here, and never planned on moving away, especially since my profession allowed me to stay, or at least it did until a certain point. My profession is a motorboat pilot, which means I spend about 8-9 months of the year away from home. Most of the time, I work on cargo ships along the Mississippi, though I did manage to venture out to the sea a couple of times. This whole mess began while I was away on one of my trips, right in the middle of summer. For some reason, one of our townsfolk, Daniel Evans, hung himself. It was unclear what led him to that decision at the time. He didn't leave a note, didn't tell anyone anything. He just went ahead and did it. The locals gossiped about it endlessly. Some speculated it was due to debts, even though Daniel didn't seem to have any loans or financial obligations. Others suggested it was because of loneliness. That seemed closer to the truth. As far as I can remember, he always lived alone. Well, in any case, they gave him a proper burial, mourned for a while, and then moved on. 40 days passed, and then, suddenly, there was more bad news. My former teacher, Mrs. Linda Stevenson, passed away, but it wasn't because of her age. She had some heart problems. She used to take medication regularly, but one day she took a dose far exceeding what she should have, significantly more. This really shocked the entire village. Not only did Mrs. Stevenson appear to have no serious issues, but she was also a devout person. She attended church every Sunday and observed all the religious fasts. Of all people, no one would have ever expected this from her. After that, things calmed down a bit. For about 2 months, nothing else happened. The villagers slowly began to relax. As for the two who had passed, people assumed that something had happened. Something no one else was aware of. Autumn was approaching, and with it my return home. I was due back after a 6-month trip. I couldn't wait to see my family and friends and to simply return to my home. I was utterly exhausted at the time. After all, they say home is where the heart is. And so, the day finally came. Feeling happy and content, I stepped off the bus and called for a cab to take me home. But the car took unusually long to arrive, suspiciously long. In the end, I had to call a friend to come and pick me up. It was already freezing outside, and I was dressed completely inappropriately for the weather. By the time my friend arrived, half an hour later, the cold had seemingly seeped into my bones. When we met, I expected the usual questions about work, my plans for the next month, and so on. But Paul started talking about something entirely different. "Jim, I know you've been away for 6 months and don't know everything that's been going on. But please, listen to me carefully now and don't interrupt." After that sentence, I started feeling uneasy. "Paul who died?" I asked. He exhaled heavily and replied, "Not just who, Jim, more like who all." Then he began listing all the people who had passed away during that time. To be honest, my hair stood on end at the sheer number of people who had passed. "Wait, you're not joking, are you?" He looked at me like I was an idiot and said, "Would anyone joke about something like this?" "No, of course not. Unfortunately." "So what happened?" "I told you, don't interrupt." Okay, I'm listening." And then he began. From my friend's long and detailed story, I managed to piece together the chronology of these dreadful events. First, Daniel passed away, then Mrs. Stevenson. After that, there was a 2-month lull, but then it began again. People of all ages were dying, both young children and the elderly. Not everyone ended their lives intentionally. Some disappeared without a trace, while others died under strange, sometimes unexplainable circumstances. For example, on September 1st, after the school's ceremonial opening day, several students didn't return home. There were 5 of them, all from the same class. To this day, they haven't come back, and the police couldn't find them, neither alive nor dead. Tammy Simmons, who lived 2 houses down from me, used to live. She left for work one morning and never returned. Unlike those kids, though, her body was found a week later. Completely naked, emaciated, and already dead. She had died from hypothermia. And then there was Uncle Nick, who also froze to death. For some incomprehensible reason, he decided to wade into our local river. His clothes were found on the shore, but he was only wearing swim trunks. Mind you, he went swimming on an October night. And perhaps the strangest part of this whole story is that there's no way to predict when someone will die. There might be a week of peace, or several people might pass away in a single day. It's just bizarre. Paul, have you personally noticed anything strange? I asked after he finished. Me personally? No, and neither has anyone else. I haven't noticed anything. People just die, that's it. I'll tell you this, I've stopped being a skeptic. What are you hinting at? I don't know. It's all just strange. Looks like we need to get out of here, and the sooner the better. You're right, Jim. But not everyone can leave that easily. I can't leave for at least a month. Oh, why so long? I need to figure out what to do with the livestock, the house, and, moving isn't exactly a quick process. Right, I came home for this, I said bitterly. Don't even start. The town feels like it's completely dead. No one goes outside now. People just go to the store or work and that's it. Even the young folks are staying home. But it's not really helping, is it? People keep dying anyway. Exactly, and now it's not even safe to turn to your neighbors. Everyone's starting to look at each other like wolves. Not long after, I had a chance to see it all for myself. The main street was empty, and no one could be seen near their yards. So, people just stay inside even in the middle of the day? I asked. Yep, you got it, and you should stay put too, unless it's absolutely necessary. I listened to my friend's advice and decided not to tempt fate. At home, my wife was waiting for me, but our son, Jason, was nowhere to be found. Finally, you're back, Sarah exclaimed as she ran up to me. Hey honey, where's Jason? I took him to my mom's for now. There's no reason for him to be here. That's a good call. I just heard some things from Paul. The faint smile on her face vanished. Jim, don't be upset. I was planning to tell you once you got back. You were on a trip and I didn't want to worry you unnecessarily. Sarah, we need to leave here as soon as possible. I know, I already talked about it at work. And my boss is making me work 2 more weeks. Damn it, what an ass. Why didn't you leave earlier with Jason? Because I thought things would settle down eventually, and I just started waiting for you. I didn't want to leave on my own. I hugged her, and the longer I looked at my wife, the more I realized how bad things had gotten. Instead of my cheerful, lively Sarah, I saw a woman completely drained by life. Her skin had taken on a grayish hue. There were dark circles under her eyes, and she had gotten so thin that she could have hidden behind a broomstick. The only comfort was that our son was far away from all this. The next day, Sarah handed in her resignation. She considered taking sick leave, but the doctor wouldn't agree to it, so now we had no choice but to live on edge, praying nothing would happen to our family. Around 7 p.m., she came home and told me one of her co-workers hadn't shown up for their shift. I don't think she's coming back, Sarah concluded. I stayed silent, my silence saying more than words ever could. It was already clear as day. The week dragged on, and Friday finally arrived, marking the start of Sarah's last week at work. I hoped it would go just as uneventfully. That evening, she came home with a bag of groceries, and we started making dinner together. In all this time, no one had come over. In the past, we used to have guests almost every Friday. It felt so depressing now, but who could blame our friends? I didn't even feel like visiting anyone myself for obvious reasons. About an hour later, we were sitting in the living room, eating dinner and chatting about this and that. "You know I'm exhausted from work today," Sarah said. "Would you mind if I went to bed early?" "Of course not. Go ahead, I'll join you later." "Thanks." Sarah washed up and went to the bedroom while I cleaned up after dinner. There wasn't much to do. I didn't feel like watching TV in case it woke her up. Besides, it was better not to attract unnecessary attention. So, I lay down next to her and scrolled through my phone. A few minutes later, I heard a knock at the window. "Jim, open up. It's me, Tony." I recognized the voice immediately. Tony was my childhood friend. We'd been inseparable for 11 years, sitting near each other in school. But while I stayed here, he had moved to Chicago. I jumped out of bed and rushed to open the door. At that moment, I had no doubts or fear. That was just how Tony was. He loved pulling off surprises. Not only would he show up unannounced, but he'd come at any hour of the day or night. Sarah didn't mind, and I had gotten used to it. I quickly threw on a jacket and stepped outside. We hugged tightly, and the first thing he said was, "Jim, I just got divorced." "No way, are you serious?" "Yeah, wanna head to my place?" "Well, don't you come inside. It's better not to be outside without a good reason these days." "I know what's going on here already, don't worry, we'll drive. It'll be quick." "Well, in that case, let's go." The entire way there, I kept trying to find something suspicious, but everything seemed normal. There was nothing strange about my friend. We got to his house without any issues and went inside. Nothing out of the ordinary, just a regular house. "Tony, I won't stay long. You know, I've got a lot going on at home," I said. Of course," he replied. My friend didn't beat around the bush and immediately started talking about his divorce. I listened closely, nodding occasionally. Nothing unusual about it. They simply fell out of love. After sitting there for a while, I realized it was time to head home. "Tony, I should go. Stop by my place tomorrow," I said. "All right. You want me to drive you or will you walk?" "Better drive me. Can't see a thing outside." Tony started to respond when suddenly a voice from outside cut him off. "Jim, get out of there. Hurry!" It was Sarah yelling. "Damn it," Tony cursed, and I knew something was wrong. "You really think your wife's out there?" he asked. For a moment, I forgot how to breathe. What had possessed me to leave the house in the middle of the night? Who was who here? Maybe Tony was pretending, or maybe the person outside wasn't my wife at all. "Jim, do you hear me?" came another shout from outside. Despite the overwhelming fear, a coherent thought crossed my mind. "Tony, can I use your phone? I left mine at home." That was a lie, of course. I wasn't foolish enough to go out without my phone. "Do you need it?" he asked. "I'll call Sarah and check what she's doing." "No need to call her. She's asleep, deep in dreamland. And that person outside, that's not your wife. So you're not giving me the phone?" "Nope," he said without hesitation. "Then you're not Tony," I thought. I pretended not to suspect anything, grabbed a cup of water from the table and raised it to my lips. Then, with all my strength, I threw the cup straight at his face and ran outside. "Sarah, is that you?" I shouted into the darkness. Yes, yes, let's go, hurry, she yelled back, grabbing my hand and pulling me toward our car. Stop, you bastards, you can't escape me, a voice screamed behind us, but I didn't dare look back. The car was already running and we sped off immediately. Sarah, how did you even know I was there? I asked. I'll explain at home, she replied. Not wanting to make the same mistake twice, I dialed Sarah's number. A ringtone came from the back seat. She smirked. Checking, huh? Of course, I admitted. As we drove, I noticed a small stretch of forest around us, which eventually gave way to open fields on both sides of the road. Sarah, where are we? I asked. You think I found you at Tony's house? She replied. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. My chest tightened as I realized we were about 12 miles from the village. What's more, the darkness was starting to fade, replaced by the first light of dawn. This meant hours had passed, not the couple of minutes I thought. My mind filled with questions, but one thing became clear. My wife had miraculously saved me. As soon as we stepped into our house, I bombarded her with questions. She paused for a few seconds, gathering her thoughts, then began. I had a terrible dream, Jim. In it, you died. It was so vivid and real that I woke up in a panic. When I realized you weren't home, I thought the dream might actually come true. Finding you was easy, though. Remember that app with location sharing we installed on our phones? I nodded silently. Well, that's how I tracked you, but here's the thing. You weren't at Tony's house or even in the village. You were standing right by the edge of the ravine where the river flows below. The mental image of that place made my knees weak. What an idiot I am, I muttered. I knew better than to leave the house, but I did it anyway. It's okay. You're home now, she reassured me. Just don't do it again. No way are we staying here another week, I said firmly. Today, we're finding a new place to live. That's fine, Sarah agreed. I'll commute to work from the city for a week. It's worth it. That same day, Tony messaged me. Turns out he wasn't planning on returning to the village until winter. We packed up everything we needed and left. The apartment we found was small and on the city's outskirts, but I couldn't have been happier to be far away from the most terrifying experience of my life. It seemed like the worst was behind us, but it wasn't. All 12 people in the village had reportedly died. The news had made its way into the media, and the police were actively investigating. I had no desire to go back there, but almost all our belongings were still at the house. The car, as if sensing something was off, outright refused to start. We had no choice but to call for a cab, which cost a small fortune. After a long wait, a driver finally agreed to take us there, arriving about 30 minutes later. The village's dark reputation had clearly spread across the area. The cab driver dropped us off near the house, and without saying much, we immediately began gathering our belongings. Sarah started with the kitchen, while I took care of the entryway and headed toward the living room. Dealing with the appliances was more complicated than expected. I had to figure out how to pack them properly. Thankfully, there were some boxes lying around the house, which helped. After dealing with most of the items, I was about to head to the bedroom when something unusual caught my attention. A small white piece of paper lay neatly in the center of the desk. With trembling hands, I picked it up and began reading the message, written in clumsy handwriting. "You can't hide from me." "Sarah," I shouted. She dropped whatever she was doing and rushed into the living room. "What is it?" "Did you see this?" I asked, waving the cursed paper in front of her face. "See what? What is it?" "Here, read it." She examined the note carefully, then asked, "Did you gather everything?" "There are still things in the bedroom." "Forget the bedroom. Let's just get out of here." "You're right, let's go." Sarah called for a moving truck, which surprisingly arrived at the house much faster than expected. The driver, who was also the mover, helped us load our belongings into the truck bed. On the way, I noticed how empty the street was, as usual. Well, not my problem anymore, I thought. We'll leave, and everything will be fine. The truck sped along quickly with no traffic or obstacles in sight, which I found a relief. I had no idea what would happen to the house, or the village for that matter. Only time would tell. Now that the media was covering the story, all we could do was wait and see. Suddenly, there was a loud bang. What the hell, the road's completely flat. Another, even stronger jolt rocked the vehicle, hard enough to slam my head into the ceiling. What the hell is happening? What's wrong with the truck? I yelled at the driver, my voice shaking with frustration and fear. He sat there, completely expressionless, as if nothing unusual was happening. "Hello? Are you even listening to me?" I shouted at him one last time. At that moment, he slowly turned his head toward me, his face devoid of life. And then he croaked out the same horrifying phrase that had haunted me before. "You can't hide from me." His face began to twist and contort in ways no human face ever should. Chunks of flesh fell off, landing in sickening heaps on the floor, revealing the bare bones of his skull. Razor-sharp teeth emerged from his mouth, and his eyes were replaced by two gaping black voids. Sarah let out a blood-curdling scream while I stood there frozen, unable to make a sound. The scene shifted, and I realized we were doomed. The creature vanished as quickly as it had appeared, and we found ourselves trapped inside the truck bed, which was sinking rapidly into a body of water. Freezing water filled the cabin, and the door handles wouldn't budge no matter how hard we tried. Smash that like button if you got scared, and leave a comment telling us which moment gave you chills. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're not afraid. Choose one of the two videos on the screen to test your nerves. Boo!